I've come a long way to visit that island lying out there in its lonely sea loch. Not to land on it, mind you, no fear, you wouldn't catch me setting foot on it, or any of the crofters and fishermen that live in these parts either. No, I just wanted to take a boat out and have a closer look from a safe distance at Britain's most mysterious island. But the weather has clamped down on me. And maybe not just the weather. I get a kind of Celtic impression that nobody hereabouts is over-anxious to take me out for a closer look. The weather's too rough, they say, though you would hardly think so from here, would you? On the map, this is called Gruinard Island. Hereabouts, they call it the Island of Death, the Mystery Island, and for good reason. Now, this is not a story of old dark deeds or Highland superstition. No, this story started in 1942. The war had been going on for 3 years when suddenly a team of scientific boffins from the War Office took over the island and started experiments so secret that even today, 20 years later, very few people know just what went on over there. The local people were told nothing. What were these scientists up to on the island, do you think?
I couldn't very well tell you what they were up to.
You must make a guess at it, though.
Well, we were making a guess at it that they were working on some germ warfare or something like that.
Now, what made you think that?
Well, we came to the conclusion that it was something from the island that did away with all the stock that was killed along here, that died. There were sheep and cattle and horses.
But how did it get here from the island, Mr. Grant?
Well, one theory is that there was a ship washed ashore on the sand in the bay, that nobody knew anything about the ship, but that it had a halter around its neck. And there was a dog seen eating the sheep. Well, that dog was seen to be sick all over the place. Whether that was the cause or not, we couldn't figure out. But there was beasts died in the area in which that dog was sick on.
Now, what did you lose?
I lost one horse, and I lost 6 or 7 sheep.
Well,
I didn't lose any cattle.
Now, did you ever approach the authorities about it?
Well, they had their own authorities along here.
Who had? The scientists?
Not, but the government had.
The government? Well, did you make the government pay you compensation?
They did, without any quibble. They paid compensation at the rate at which the vets valued the beasts which died.
So they knew there was something going on. And
possibly.
It wasn't natural, eh?
It was quite obvious to us that there was something, that they knew something about it, or they wouldn't have paid up so very quick as what they did.
No. The War Office say that it wouldn't be in the public interest to disclose the facts. And who should know better what is good for us than a government department? Over there, the boffins experimented with cattle and sheep. And if mainland observers really saw what they have described, the experiments had at least a limited success. Now, they were experimenting with animals over on the island there, weren't they, Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
And many of them.
Well, they had all kinds, I don't know.
Sheep, cows?
Sheep and cows. They bought some from me anyway.
Did they?
Yes.
Now, what happened to these animals? Have you any idea at all?
Well, I'm sure they would be poisoned.
Now, what makes you think that? Did you ever see anything that made you think that?
Well, I used to watch the smoke coming down on the top of them.
What do you mean by smoke? Was it a cloud of...
A cloud rolling above the earth, coming towards these animals.
Where were the animals?
They were staked over there.
Oh, I see. They were tied up in a line, were they?
In a line.
And then this cloud rolled down.
Yes.
Now, do you think it was poison gas they were using?
Well, I think it was all kinds of poison gas.
I think you're holding out on me a
Anthrax.
bit, you know. I've heard it said that some people did see these animals falling dead when this cloud hit them. And I was wondering if that was true.
Well, I'm sure I did the same.
Did you?
Yes.
After about a year, the scientists departed, but they didn't leave Gruinard Island as they found it. That is still contaminated ground, still so dangerous that the War Office put up notices like this one only 4 years ago, 16 years after the event. Now, you don't get any trouble now, of course, from this long ago affair, do you?
Well, yes, in this particular place, yes. I lose sheep, you know, in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
When the grass begins to grow again.
But you'd lose sheep normally here and there always, would you?
Oh, yes, but I lose more in this particular place. Yes.
Is that so?
Yes, where we lost them during the war.
20 years later?
Yes.
All we've got to go on is the guesswork of 20 years, and it doesn't all tally. If it was germs the boffins were using, why should animals die on the instant? If it was poison gas, why should that island be contaminated still 20 years later? And in this atom bomb age, when the thought of mass murder no longer shocks as it should, why all this secrecy still?